Yo, what's going on, everybody? UltimatDjz here from the Teaching Trek YouTube, here with your ArcFall video. Here we are. Can you believe it's already October? Like, seriously, the stores are starting to put out Christmas stuff. Like, what gives? Okay, I digress. Welcome into ArcFall 2022. It is the month of October. Deep Space Nine Part 2. And take a look up here. Man, that does not look like the Defiant. And those look like Cardassians. And man, what does it all mean? Well, we're here to talk to you all about it. We're going to try to jam as much as we can into this tiny little video because there is a lot to come this month. Lots of hints have been given. Lots of speculation have been out there. So we're going to try to tick off all the check marks that we can here for you as we proceed through. Please, if you do have questions, leave them in the comment section below. We'll do our best to answer those as we go through. And as I had mentioned in the last month, obviously implementation, technology was a big part of the failures of last month, but the content actually remained pretty daggone good with an introductory free-to-play loop, allowing everybody to get in and enjoy the Alliance Starbase. We're going to talk about those changes and expansions this month, and I remain as optimistic for October as I was in September because, again, we're talking free-to-play entry as of day one. I'm very, very much a fan of that. But we do have some new stuff to get into here today. Will you have to pay for it? No. You will be able to participate right up front, but you will be able to fast-track it, and that is a model that I really don't disapprove of. So, without further ado, let's hop on in and talk a little bit about, first, your officers this month. Yep, they're right over my shoulder there. Let's begin with Gul Dukat. Yes, everybody. It's your Interceptor strike team. There's been a lot of speculation. Even I hinted a little bit at it as to whether or not we're going to be using these or not. But some interesting stuff still to come. Okay, so don't freak out on me. Let's take a look at Gul Dukat, the prefect of Bajor. His captain's maneuver while on an interceptor fighting a player ship at the beginning of combat. Dukat has a 20% chance to apply hull breach for the duration of combat. Take a look at your synergy. You've got 40% per side, giving you a 100% hull breach for the duration of combat. That's actually a really nice ability. Of course, going to be negatively impacted by the Mantis, but when you're just doing normal straight-up PvP, this thing is going to basically, with both all three officers, that is, give you a full 100% hull breach, which is pretty daggone good. His officer ability, when shot while on an interceptor in PvP with hull breach, that means if the player ship has hull breach, which, you know, could be 100% of the time up here, then Gul Dukat is going to increase the number of shots per weapon by 25% for 5 rounds. Okay, 5 rounds, and this percentage goes up. Now, we have seen, for example, with Miles. All right, we've talked about Miles last month. We talked about Strike Team La'an before. My understanding is that this particular officer right here is going to do something very, very similar to that of Miles in that it's going to give you that 25% increase for 5 rounds, but it can proc, all right? This is per round. When shot while on an interceptor fighting a player ship with hull breach, then you can increase the number of shots per weapon. Now, whether or not this is going to proc per weapon that comes in or per round, but I'm here to tell you this is going to be pretty daggone potent, especially as you continue to level this thing up, and it can stack, giving the synergy bonuses here a massive, just absolutely massive. Now, at first glance, you might say, well, 5 rounds, maybe Strike Team La'an is still better because this thing is limited to 5 rounds. Well, maybe, but this guy is going to stack like Miles, or at least that's what we've been told. So if you're stacking this thing up and increasing those 25% or even scaling them up as you tier the officer, and then it stacks for 5 rounds, then, I mean, really truthfully, you should be, I would imagine, by round 5, you would have a 125% boost to the number of shots, and then it could kind of stay there as long as you can keep your hull breach. This looks just absolutely sickeningly gross from a strike team perspective, and definitely for an interceptor is likely to change the game as much as strike team did for battleships. We shall see. Sorry for the Explorer owners. I guess you gotta wait a little bit longer, but yeah, now you're gonna get tanked from 2 different styles of ship. Sorry. All right, let's take a look at the secondary officers. Let's go to Damar first. And again, Captain's Maneuver, while on an interceptor and fighting in PvP with Hull Breach, you're going to increase your critical hit chance by 2% whenever Damar scores a critical hit. That is a big deal. And of course, you can get that up to 8%. And again, every single time that you're on an interceptor and every single round, presumably, that you've got Hull Breach going on, you're going to increase that by another 8%. So again, almost kind of like a con ability if you're in the captain's chair, but hopefully you've got Gul Dukat in the captain's chair. Officer ability Liquid Courage while on an interceptor and in PvP with that player suffering a Hull Breach, decreasing the opponent's critical hit damage again per round, 25% for 3 rounds if Damar scores a critical hit. This does scale up, and yes, we have also confirmed, basically being told that this is also a stacking ability. So if your opponent has Hull Breach, then you're going to get this reduction, and it's going to last for 3 rounds, but it can stack. So this would get you, for example, if you had a 100% crit or Hull Breach, then you are going to get up to 75% if indeed you score a critical hit. That is if you throw a critical hit, all right? So again, looking at the Captain's Maneuver, this is going to be really, really important about increasing your crit chance odds, because if the opponent's ship has Hull Breach and you happen to throw a crit in, say, rounds 1, 2, and 3, then these will stack. And you will get that 25% for 3 rounds. So if you were lucky enough to throw a critical in each of rounds 1, 2, and 3, then by round 3, you're going to have a 75% reduction to your opponent's critical hit damage. Again, very, very potent officer abilities, especially if this thing's flying on the side of Gul Dukat. Now, narratively, where this thing loses me is Garrick, okay? Garrick is on the Interceptor Strike team, but narratively speaking, was never a fan of Dukat. As a matter of fact, pretty much bitter enemies and working against one another in the end. So I don't know narratively how I like this, other than the fact that, you know, he's a Cardassian nonetheless. But this one strikes me a little bit odd. But nonetheless, it is a character that I'm glad to have into the game. And if I'm speaking mechanically, then so be it. But narratively, I don't like how it ties together. Captain's Maneuver, though, while on an interceptor. And again, in PvP, if the opponent has Hull Breach, then Garrick is going to reduce the opponent's kinetic weapon damage by 5% per round. So every single round that you've got a Hull Breach on the opponent, Garrick is going to reduce their kinetic weapon damage 5%. That can get up to 25% with full synergy. Officer ability while on an interceptor, and again in PvP. If your opponent has Hull Breach, then Garrick is going to increase your own critical hit chance by 30% per round. Now, if we're talking about a full synergy set of crew here, this one is key. We just went back to Damar, okay? Let's go back here to Damar, and we take a look at his officer ability, which if we're flying with Dukat, then we only have the officer ability here. If we are going to be trying to score a critical hit, then if we do score a critical hit, for example, then we're going to get a 25% reduction to their critical hit damage for 3 rounds. All right. This is what is actually really, really awesome. Damar and Garrick feeding each other, because Garrick is going to increase your critical hit chance by 30% every single round that your opponent has Hull Breach. In theory, even with a tier 1 officer, you will be at a 100% crit chance by round 3 if you're able to have Hull Breach for all 3 of those rounds. Because remember, you're not starting at 0. Your critical hit chance might be 12 or 20 or 22%. Well, you add 90% to that in 3 rounds, then right there, by round 3, you've got 100% crit chance, and that is going to really then come in and feed Damar's here, where you're going to then have 100% crit percentage basically after round 3. And that means that you are going to be able, from that point forward, to be sure to stack up to 75% decreased crit hit damage by your opponent. This is almost like stinging an opponent with the Mantis, but now in an officer form. This does look to be pretty lethal. Now, when comparing to Battleship Strike Team, someone might say, well, this one doesn't look as good, but I don't know, man. After you actually put all 3 of these pieces together, it looks pretty significant, and we have been told by the designers of this crew that this is indeed designed to hold up and stack up against the Battleship Strike Team. Battles will have to be, will have to happen. We're going to have to test that and see how it goes. That is your Interceptor Strike Team. What else is coming this month? Well, we've been hinting at it here just a little bit. We do have a new loop this month. Let's take a look at what we're going to be doing with this new loop. And while I have some limited information on exactly the exact processes, we do have a lot of stuff to give you. So let me take a look over here. First of all, we are going to be introducing this month to you solo armadas. As a matter of fact, the player who called this out on Rev's channel, this was really, really good. Rev did a hint around a red solo cup because the Armada circles are red now. That was really good. That was very, very smart. Guys, take a look. Let's take a look at this new Armada hostile. Whoop, there you go. There you can see it. This is a Jem'Hadar flagship, okay? This is what we've seen in our artwork. That's what we saw in the Cardassian artwork at the beginning of this video, as well as on the App Store front page. This is it. And by the way, this is what it actually looks like. It looks like the resolution's pretty good. So, hey, just side note, let's get our skins and our ships to look like this. That'd be great. But this is an example of a solo armada. Now, this is really, really kind of interesting because where you're going to find these is in a new set of faction space. This is indeed Jem'Hadar space, all right? That's where you're going to be found. You're going to find hostiles. You are going to find a few mining nodes. You're going to see some token space. You are going to have some fog of war. Lots of stuff that we're going to be talking about as the month proceeds with regards to Jem'Hadar space. But that is part of where you're going to find some of these new hostiles and where you're going to find these new armadas, and there are 3 different varieties: uncommon, rare, and epic, and they will take their own directives. But, DJ, you said free-to-play would have an entry. Well, we're going to talk about that in just 1 second, but I do want to come back and draw your attention to these particular armadas where game design is now taking a second attempt on Armada Abilities, all right? And this month, they've done something just a little bit different. Not quite as potent as what we saw with the Cardassian armadas last month, but still interesting nonetheless. Basically saying, hey, there is no such thing as a 2-tap on this thing, all right? Their active ability is the Jem'Hadar flagship will fully restore its whole health when victorious in battle, meaning if you fail against this thing, there is no 2-tap, all right? It's going to go back to 100% whole health if you die against this thing. So that is something very interesting to take note of. You are going to have to absolutely be tinkering and playing around with these things and figuring out what their strength is going to be as you can do it. And I'm going to give you some mechanics here in a second. But first, let me actually show you the math on this. Is a level 41. We saw this, the picture just a second ago of a level 35, but here's a level 41. And you take a look at the firing pattern here. Lots of weapons, 3 energy, 3 kinetic. Those 3 energies firing every single round with 3 kinetics every other round. You take a look at some of their power, 44 million in power. Taking a look at some of the statistics, they're pretty significant. Their defensive mitigation statistics, also very significant, very strong on hull and shield. It's not going to be easy to punch in on these things, all right? So how is it that we are going to be able to actually tackle these ships? Well, this is the solo armada mechanic. Let me now break this down for you a little bit. You will be able to send 3 ships. All right, this is a you thing, just you, no team. So you started, then you get to bring 3 combat ships to this solo armada, which is why they've been ramping us up with a couple of different armada-style crews. Obviously, Deep Space Nine crew going to be wildly important to this. Your traditional 5-6 crew going to be very, very important, and even something else, whatever you might run. How about the TNG crew, which do work on armadas? Not faction armadas in this case, but, you know, hey, Data. I keep talking about Data. Or maybe Troy, right, to get rid of some of the crits. Okay, let's see. Do we even have, we don't have the, oh yeah, you can see at the very bottom of the screen there, crit chance only 10%, but we don't get to see, can I see the crit damage? Nope, it's beyond the screen. I don't get to see that. So we don't know how big these shots are going to, oh, here it is, 150%. So, you know, hey, listen, can you see it? Crit chance, crit damage, 150%. I don't know. Maybe worth getting a Troy. I don't know. The DPR is pretty significant, 2.6 million. And again, it's just you. All right, it's just your power, so maybe a Troy. I don't know. We'll have to talk about the best strategy, but you'll get to bring 3 crews on 3 ships to these armadas. They will be taking their own directives, their own currency. And here's what we know about this loop, all right? In the space that we were talking about, in this Jem'Hadar space, there's going to be hostiles, all right? So let me break down this loop for you super quick, and hopefully that'll about wrap it up. There's going to be hostiles. You're going to hit the hostiles. You're going to get their loot drop. You're going to come into your Bajoran faction store, which I'm going to talk about that faction in a second. There is a new faction this month. It is Bajoran. So you're going to come into the Bajoran store. You're going to spend that loot for Bajoran credits. Those Bajoran credits then can be used to buy directives, uncommon directives specifically, but it can also be used to buy favors. Okay, that's what they're calling them, favors. That was my hint, the boon. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a second. The Bajoran credits will be used to buy the uncommon directives. You will receive enough credits in the daily refine to do 1 uncommon every single day, absolutely free. All right. Then you're going to go do the uncommon. You're going to get some other loot. You're going to exchange that, and you will receive, just like with traditional armadas, you're going to get directives for the next level up. So by doing the uncommon refine, you will get rare directives, and we have been told that free to play will be able to source 1 rare start every 3 to 4 days, depending on the size of your target. Every 3 to 4 days, you get a rare, and then every 3 to 4 rares that you run, you will receive an epic. So if I'm doing my math right, that's a free uncommon every single day, a free rare every 3 to 4 days, and a free epic every 9 to 12 days, maybe 16, depending, which would be 2 epics a month. What's it going to be doing? It's going to be dropping some loot, the Bajoran credits, which are then used, again, the self-sustaining loop, Bajoran credits used to buy more directives, or you will be able to enter into your Bajoran store and be able to buy favors, all right? And this was part of the hint that I was talking about as far as the research, like stuff that you have to learn. These are essentially researches, okay? These are researches that you're going to unlock with these Bajoran credits. There is reputation, by the way. Some of the Armada loot, those credits you're earning, is going to be redeemed for reputation. This is very reminiscent of like a Stella-style model in which you're going to be buying the reputation, accumulating the reputation so you can unlock bigger and better things in these favors. These are going to basically act almost like researches, and they're going to give you buffs. As a matter of fact, here is a very, very brief, generic, top-down version of some of the buffs that we're going to be talking about this month. Cost efficiency on buildings for resources, buildings for materials, and we got research from the Alliance Starbase as far as materials for research, stats, weapons damage, hull health, Bajoran reputation gains. I mean, there's some really, really good stuff here. Let me move the catches for a second so you can see some other stuff. How about this one right here? Increasing base refinery rewards for G4 and G5 ore, gas, and crystal. This is cool. All right. Adding a ultra recruit token to your 24-hour daily chest and increasing its rewards. Adding a new daily for Syndicate XP and Bajoran badges. Lots of stuff in here, okay? Increasing loot rewards for the solo Armada targets. Loot rewards from Dominion hostiles. Cost efficiency for Stella ship. You could skip that one. You could skip that one down there. Just skip that one. But lots of really, really good stuff. And where that is actually coming into play is right here inside the faction store. So it's not going to have like a research tree. You're actually going to acquire these favors. And you'll see level 1. A lot of them are multi-level. You can see here, for example, that Crystal Refinery. It unlocks at Pug Strong. All right, so that's a reputation that you're going to have to get to up here before some of this stuff unlocks, just like normal faction stores do. Let's take a look at, let's see if we can find some of what these researches are. And I don't know what Ripper and I were talking at this time. Right now, we just kind of have them in the research tree under this temp setting. I don't know where Ripper's going to finally put them for you, but there's a lot of them in here, okay? Tons and tons of them in here that you can take a look. For example, materials trade route. This one is going to increase the cost efficiency of the materials for buildings. There's a lot of them in here. Kira's Fury. This one's going to be base weapons damage, all right? And you'll note as we take a look at some of these, here's Prophet's Tribute, adding the Ultra Recruit tokens. Now, this one is only a 1 level. It's just going to add Ultras to your 24-hour chest. But if we take a look at some of these others, Ascension, for example, increasing Bajoran faction reputation gains. This is a 5 level, so you'll actually be able to buy 5 different levels of these favors from the faction store. So that is a little bit of detail, probably a little bit more than I should have necessarily gotten into, but that is a quick kind of on the loop. What other stuff are we got coming this month? Well, let me just break down very, very quickly. You will have some new primes this month. There will be a prime for Alliance Reputation with the Alliance Starbase and Cardassian Loot. There's going to be primes available for that. And introducing a new multi-level prime for Federation, Klingon, and Romulan Reputation gains. All right? This is a new 5-level prime where each prime is going to have its own requirements of G6 uncommon materials, so not something that can be ground out really right now. You're going to have to acquire or buy these packs, G6 uncommon material, that will feed each level of a 5-level prime, starting at 20%, then 40%, then 60, 80, and finally a 100% boost to Federation, Klingon, and Romulan reputations. You'll be able to find those primes in the store. You have heard me talk a little bit about the Alliance Starbase. Let's talk a little bit about how that's changing this month. As a lot of you have speculated, there are going to be new buildings, or at least new components, all right, including a brand new style of plasma called active plasma. You will have new harvesters that are going to come in, plus we are now launching up to level 24 of your Alliance Starbase. So this past month it was capped at 14. Now we're going all the way up to 24, where we're introducing 2 new styles of building. One that's going to surround the plasma, that's active plasma harvesters, 3 and 2 vaults. But we're also going to come down here and take a look at a brand new building component that is called the Salvage Yard. This Salvage Yard is going to require Assembly 15 before you can even start working on it, but this is going to improve loot. This is a loot bonus gain from the Cardassian Armadas, so you can see basically even once you get to Assembly 15, you can jam out multiple levels of this thing all the way up through 15, with the other higher prerequisites only being Assembly level 8. All right, so once you get to Assembly 15 and you've got at least, what is this, active harvester 8 built, then you'll be able to jam this thing all the way up to level 15, which would be a 30% loot gain out of the Cardassian Armadas. So speaking to some of the players like Bubba Joe who had concerns with the normal, like the regular Armada loot, this is going to help out with that as well. That is called the Salvage Yard, and that is coming in your Alliance Starbase this month. All right, that is going to mostly do what I am prepared to talk about here today. There is more. All right, there is more, including a very cool feature that should be coming out here in the next few days that I'm excited to talk to you about. They are rolling about 1 or 2 other big features this month, so very, very interesting things that we will be here to talk to you about. Even these new Jem'Hadar Armadas. I haven't given you everything yet. There's extra stuff still to come, even from those in the forms of rewards and currency and that kind of thing. We got more to talk to you about as the days progress, and really, really excited about another feature that we haven't even breathed on yet that is coming hopefully towards week 2. Still a lot to come. Community, what do you think? Is this somewhat exciting to you? I don't know if it is or not. We're going to talk to you about the events and so forth coming up, hopefully in an event guide video coming up tomorrow. There will be tickets this month. There will be your traditional Parabellum and Jelly Brawl and things like that. We'll give you all that information coming up in our event guide video, hopefully tomorrow. But in the meantime, this is the Down and Dirty on your DS9 Part 2. Again, if implementation can actually come off this month, I'm excited about the content. By the way, I didn't even tell you this. Congratulations to those of you who made it all the way to the end of the video. So here's your golden goodness. Here's your golden bit of goodness. The Armada respawn timer for the Jem'Hadar Armadas, 7 seconds. Whoop, 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 whoop. We ain't going to be waiting around all day waiting on respawns. 7-second respawn. By the way, you're only you, right? So you don't need a team to come with you. So you know how long the timer is? 90 seconds. 90 seconds, 1.5 minutes, 1 minute and 30 seconds, the best Armada timer in the game because it's only you. You don't have to worry about a team, right? 90 seconds on the timer, a 7-second respawn, so you can go in, you can get your stuff, and you can get on out of there. What do you guys think? There's a little bit of, I saved some of the goodness for last. Leave your comments and your questions down below. I'd love to answer them for you. Hopefully we can get those answers to you here very, very timely. Don't forget, we've got a Talking in Cars coming up later on in the day here on Arc Launch. President Echo will be with us with some extra information. All right, he will have extra information on these Armadas. That will be coming up this morning as well. Plus, oh my God, more big news. I just thought big news number 3 also coming this month. Lots of stuff to tell you about. My name is UltimatDjz. This is Teaching Trek on October, DS9 Part 2. Hope you guys like it. Please hit that subscribe button on our journey to 10,000 subs, $1,000 we're getting ready to give away. Click on that like, click the bell, share with your team. We appreciate you. Love you, mean it. Meow for now. Catch you on the next one. Meow. Bye, everybody.